Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you how to install the environment we will be working with. We will be using Apache Spark, and we will be using it through a Docker container. So the first thing I would like you to do is to download the Docker desktop app. You've probably used Docker before, and there's many ways to do this, but I will be using the desktop app. So after you install, like if you go to Docker desktop, docker.com, and the desktop app, and you install it, you will get something like this. So I'm on Mac right now, but it should be the same on Windows or Linux. If you open the dashboard, and here you can see the images you have, which right now I have none. The containers you would be having running. The image we will be using, it's called, it's part of the Jupyter images. This is the notebook Jupyter. So you've been exposed to notebooks in DBA course with the Azure Studio, but this is basically the origin of notebooks, which is the Jupyter notebooks. So the Jupyter has some images available for Docker, and one of it is all Spark notebook. So to be able to use it, the first thing we will be pulling the image. So you can copy the line here, and in a terminal you can run this. Now this might take a while, but once it's done, you will see something like this. And if we open back the Docker dashboard, we should now in our images find this image right here. So here's our image, and now we can create a container from it. So we will need to modify the port and the volume to be able to basically, the Jupyter Notebook is a web app that will be running on a specific port, and we want to link it to a local host to be able to open it in our browser. And we will be linking a volume, like a folder, so that we would put our files and everything, that data set, our notebooks, and anything we want, we will be able to use that. Now, in the documentation of the Jupyter Docker stack, you can read more about the ports that it will be using and um, the location of the files that you want to link to, the volume. So anyway, we will be linking the 8888 port. I'm just going to have a name as Spark container, and the host path, that would be something on my computer. So I'll create a desktop folder. And I will use that. And the container path will be home slash Jovian slash work. And that's coming from the documentation that this is something in this is basically the user, and this is a directory inside the image that we are using. So then I will run, and now the container is created. And once you open the logs, you will see in the logs, you will see a URL that has basically like the local host at 8888, and there's a token with it. So you need this to access the Jupyter Notebook. You need this token. So I'm going to copy this, and in the browser, after running this, now you will see the Jupyter Notebook open. And this is running from the Docker container. And this work folder is what's linked to my folder right here on the desktop. So if I create something here as like a folder, we should see it here, and here it is. So whatever you add here, it will be linked to this folder on your, like outside the Docker container. And this is why we link the volumes. So now To test that the installation is running, I'm going to create a new Jupyter notebook. We will be using Python 3. So here you can click New, Python 3, and it will create a new Jupyter notebook with Python 3 environment. You can change the title. Just gonna do test. So this is the name of the file. If you go back here, you'll see it. This is the Jupyter notebook we just created, test.ipynb. And this is similar to the notebooks you've seen before. So it basically consists of cells where it's like code or text. So here I can add the cells and I can change this from code to Markdown. So Markdown is a way of writing text. And in here I can have like just basic Python. So if I run this here, I can print X in another cell. One thing to keep in mind is that the order that you run the cells in is the order that is being processed on the kernel. It's not the order of which the cells are contained here. In other words, if I declare the Y variable here, and I go back to the very first cell and I print it, it will work. However, this is a very bad thing to have because usually when you're having a notebook, you want to make sure that you can run it sequentially and it will work. So right now, if I go to the kernel and I restart the kernel, let's say restart and run all, so it will run all the cells sequentially. From the first line, now I'm getting an error because Y is not defined. So make sure you don't fall into this mistake while you're using the notebook. Now, one last thing I would like you to test is to import Py Spark, which is something that should already be as part of the image that we installed to make sure that Spark is installed. And it is being imported. And in the class, we will be using this extensively throughout the course. So I would like you to have this running and ready for the class.